Ji, Assalamu alaikum. I am Shahid Khan, and today I've been joined by Haroon Ahmad Jan and our very dear colleague Almas Abbas as well. Before starting today's session, मैं कुछ housekeeping कर दूं और वो same feel free to ask as many questions as possible. Today we have selected very interesting topic, and this is all around our resilience, and this is how we are going to learn it together. Or before introducing the lead trainer for today's session, मैं सिर्फ आपको ये suggest करूंगा कि write down your questions in your questions tab. We will answer them, और जहां जहां हमें जरूरत पड़ेगी audio discussion ki bhi, we'll unmute you and we'll discuss things in detail. So uh, without wasting any further second, let me quickly introduce Miss Almas Abbas Ali. Almas Abbas Ali has been associated with the education sector for more than 20 years now. She is working as Head of Education South at ACCA Pakistan, where she is responsible for market growth and student progression and employability skills. She works with multiple stakeholders, including teachers, students, government education regulators, employers, and training organizations to ensure students are equipped with skills to face the world as a professional. She has completed her master's in public administration from University of Karachi and advanced diploma in education and international development from University of London. She has been trained as a resilience practitioner from College of Wellbeing from UK. She's a strong advocate on growth mindset. So without any further delay, Almas, I am handing it over to you. Thank you very much for joining us today. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Shahid, for your introduction, and Assalamu alaikum to all of you. I hope you can hear me and see me okay. If you can just write in the chat कि आपको आवाज आ रही है, and you can see the slides and video. All right, thank you, Abdul Qadir. All right, this is great. Thank you very much. So as far as the video is concerned, I'll keep it on for some short time, and then I'll switch it off just to make sure that my internet speed, the bandwidth, is consistent throughout the session. So I will need to close this video. So, okay, so let's start this topic today. As you can see, the topic is, are you emotionally resilient? Let's learn together. And this is something, what is the expectation that we as human being are always resilient? And it's just a matter of time and the situation where our resilience drops. Sometimes it's maintained, and sometimes it's beyond what we expect. And then we are remarkably very thrilled that how we are able to come out from a situation and how we are able to do wonderful things in our life, which we never thought, right? So I think in this session, what my expectation is as a resilience practitioner, I would like us to interact. I would like you to share your reflections, your comments, your ideas, whether you agree or don't agree, and how your life has been showing this very essential skill, life skill, I call it. And of course, many psychologists also call it the life skill, emotional resilience. So how you feel that this you have been showing in your life. So let's start that. And the objective of this session, usually when I do with students, when I do this topic, when I do deliver this topic in my community with the leaders and all, so I tell them what advantages and the benefits of this session you can avail, right? So through this session, my intention is that I can be able to make it, make it an awareful session for you all. And of course, once you are aware of this entire notion that what is emotional resilience and what is resilience in itself, right, then of course we are able to more appreciate it, right? And then since it's a learnable skills and anyone can learn it at any stage and any stage of your life, wherever you are, whether in the social circle or whether at the professional level, right? So this is a learnable skill, so this is a very good news, right? So once you are aware what is this skill, and then you are aware of its importance, so then you would want to, this is a basic notion in human beings life, that then you really want to develop, then you really want to invest your time in developing this skill or any other skill for a matter of fact, and then you would want to strengthen it, right? So normally what happens that when we were trained, we were asked to create our own toolkit, right, based on what we know, and then what the session is going to tell us. So in fact, you can draw upon your own insights, your own personal resources as far as the resilience is concerned. We'll be talking about that, and then you can come up with your own toolkit, and then you can draw those important tools, which we also call it the tips, techniques, and strategies in the time when you need it, right? So what happens then? Part of the objectives of this session is that once you appreciate of this very much essential life skill of emotional intelligence or emotional resilience, right? So basically, emotional intelligence is part of the emotional resilience. So it empowers us to take the charge of our different aspects of life, right? So this is a process, this is a journey, this is not specific to one specific situation, but this is the ongoing journey, and it requires a sheer intentional practice. So I would repeat, it requires intentional practice so that you can literally make it part of your life, whether it's the personal life or the professional one, right? And what it happens, it really helps the science and the researchers have also proven it, that it really helps us to unlock and maximize our potential, because then we will become more aware, and we become more appreciative of what is missing in our life, and we really intentionally work on those areas. So it really helps us maximize our potential. So throughout the session, I would appreciate your reflections. It really helps us, because normally in the sessions like these, one person's or individual thoughts, the belief system are challenged, right? And there is no right and wrong answer, but then based on your understanding, where do you stand in your life at the moment, what you believe in, what are your core values, and is that helping you out to achieve the goal which you have set for yourself personally or professionally, or is it coming on your way? So it really helps us to see our lives with another lens, with a lens of rethinking, which we sometimes don't when it comes to the strongly held beliefs in our lives. So, throughout the sessions, reflections are invited, your comments are invited. So, let's understand that what is resilience. So, in your understanding, what are the words you think of when the word resilience come into your mind? Especially in pandemic, we have been hearing this word a lot, right? And of course, it was needed. It was already there for many since the human beings, you see, have opened their eyes on this earth, right? But then in pandemic, we got to know this word. So what is in your understanding? What words come to your mind? To recover from difficulty or rough time? Nabil, thank you. Recover quickly from difficult sessions, conditions. Okay, thank you, Masood. Not giving up despite extreme hardships. All right, those are good words. Extreme hardships, not giving up, power to fight against. Wasim, thank you very much. Survival, reshaping, overcome the hard emotions, sustaining all situations. Thank you very much. Um, all right, so we have Tehmina is sharing emotional resilience, connection with yourself, self-realization, understanding your emotions. That's good ability of a rapid response. Thank you, Ibrahim. Flexibility, yeah, sustaining situations. Thank you very much. Overcome disruptions. So these are the words I can see the patterns in terms of flexibility, sustaining situations, overcome disruptions, and emotionally connecting with yourself. So these are the hardcore important words, but these are not just. So thank you very much for your contributions. So let's understand that in the views of the expert, in the views of the psychologist, the research, how do they define the resilience, right? So I'm very happy to share the definition of my teacher who taught me this concept. She is Dr. Karen Revich. She is a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and she is the director of resilience program, which is being run over there. So I have taken three definitions just to give you an idea what the experts cover in this definition. So basically, resilience is the ability to overcome, steer through, which means navigating in that situation you are in, and bounce back from the difficult and unpleasant situations, right? So in their book, The Resilience Factor, Karen Ravitch and Andrew Shate have given this definition. So basically, the key words, if you can notice, it's ability to overcome and steer through, the navigate through in that difficult situation, and then you bounce back, right? So the word bounce back often gives me the when I heard this word bounce back, when I was aware of this very much resilience word, I thought of the spring, right? The spring which has a flexibility to stretch, and then it has a flexibility, it has a characteristic to come to its own original position, right? So this is one aspect. Then another definition I like from the American Psychological Association, where they say that resilience is the process of adapting well. I've highlighted those words so I can make an emphasis on that. It's a process, right? It's not one time show, or it's not dependent on any specific situation, whether it's past but related to future as well. So it's a process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant success of stress, which can be the family, the relationship problems, health problems, workplace, financial stressors, right? So which means bouncing back from the difficult situation, which also tells us that not only bounce back, not only going back into our previous mode, previous version we were at, right? Which were steadfast and we were feeling nice emotionally and physically as well. But then, as per University of Pennsylvania definition, which they gave us, and which literally broadens the understanding, is this the ability to not only bounce back from adversity, but to grow forward from the challenges. So आप लोगों में से अक्सर ये लोगों ने सुना होगा कि the better version of yourself, the better version of myself. You said that's what the intended meaning over here, right? So yes, it's not just going back to your previous state where you were steadfast, you were emotionally, physically well and fantastic, but at the same time, what is the opportunity given in that difficult and unpleasant situation that you come out as a new version of yourself with greater opportunity and better than ever before, right? So, all right. So, I mean, when we know that what is resilience in your understanding, and in the understanding of the experts, the psychologists, right? So this entire resilience notion has had been recorded in the history. And if you see any famous personality in the sports or in the business and all that, so you can find those elements in their life which have been made the integral part of their lives, right? And it may be in your life, it may be in your family, it may be around you. You see your people, those who you idealize, those who you adore a lot, those who you appreciate, right? But then obviously we all are able to reach to the goals we have set ourselves. It's just a matter of having a control in our life, and which I believe the resilience gives that control in our life. It's the physical health, is the emotional health, is the goal which you set for yourself, whether at the personal spheres or at a professional space. So it's very important that we all create this understanding that only and also the relationships, because we human beings don't interact in isolation, don't work in isolation. We work with human beings, isn't it, from the childhood and till the age we reach here, right? The way we are behaving and demonstrating our attitudes and attributes, so that has evolved, right? We are not like the same when we were a few years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, right? So this there is a catch that we will not be the same. So let's understand that what makes you resilient, what makes and what breaks off your resilience again. So need to be aware. Our What I anticipate that our awareness will be enhanced, will be broadened. And then once you are realizing that fact, you will be giving that chance to yourself to improve those areas and factors. All right, so let me explain this quickly. I mean, in the University of Pennsylvania, when we were going through this training, we were trained and we were guided that there are multiple factors contribute to your resilience, right? And then of course resilience is a very broad topic. So from biological aspect to the self awareness, the self regulation, and the other areas which I have just mentioned, I'll quickly explain those to you. But let me share that in today's session, I will not discuss all these aspects broadly. Three aspects which are very much important. I have chosen those three factors. Those are basically the club of factors I'll be discussing, sharing with you. So, for example, the biology is not the area I would be able to share, because that's something the neurological sciences discusses that. So today's session doesn't intend to discuss the biology aspect, but experts do suggest that it does have a contribution towards resilience. So any factor besides biology, any factor which is to do with socio psychological interaction with your society, whether between two people or more than two people, we are discussing that. And within that, I would be able to share some important notions, the remarkable discoveries from these scientists on the self-awareness, self-regulation, and some optimism aspect, right? So self-awareness, self-regulation is something that when you are aware of yourself, what is happening to your body, what is happening to your mind, then you know what is going on. Then the concept kicks in, the self regulation, right? Once you are aware, then you can regulate yourself, right? That where the when the laws are regulated, like in the accounting, when you know the principles, the basic structure, then you regulate. It becomes easier for you to regulate. So same goes with the emotions in going on in the human brains. So you become aware, you become self regulating for yourself. Mental agility is a very important one, where it is said that being able to look at the situation from multiple angles, from multiple dimensions, is an a skill which can be developed. When your resilience is strong, then you are able to do that. So in fact, it's vice versa, where you are mentally agile. your resilience enhances. And then when you are resilient, your mental agility is also up, working actively. Optimism is looking at the future, right? With the positive outcomes that things will go on, and what you can control, what you can't control, to be aware of these basic aspects. And we know that from our life, right? So self-efficacy mastery is that the area where you are working in, then you know your environment, what is the demand from that area, and then what you should be really doing in focusing those areas, the strengths and weaknesses. With that, I mean, now, connection and positive institutions are these two important areas. Connection is your connection within the family, from the support point of view, that when you are down, then you draw upon these strengths from your friends, from your family members, from your colleagues. So this is a connection, is meant by that. And the last one is this: the positive institutions is actually not only the connection between those two people or three people, but this institution is meant at the larger scale. आप लोगों ने ये अक्सर सुना होगा that larger than life, right? What is the purpose of my life? Not the everyday activity, but what I can do more. I am doing for myself, for my family, but what I can do more for others. So factors like these, positive institutions, are also attached with spirituality, the faith, and other aspects where working for the climate change or poverty alleviation or whatever, based on your core values, which you attach greater emphasis and affiliation towards that, and you feel good, meaningful, real happiness out of that. So basically, these all factors do contribute your resilience, right? We will not be able to discuss all these factors in at the granular level. Of course, that's not possible. So let's start the factors. Is there any specific questions? No questions. All right. All right. Somebody, Junaid Khalid, is it a question or a statement? It's not to lose your real feel. That's very interesting notion. And if you mean with that connecting with yourself, who you are, what is your identity, essentially. Okay, all right. Thank you, Junaid. Thank you, Junaid. And so it's a good one. So let's see. As I said, that the very important factors I have selected for today's session, just to help you and help all of us to learn, and I will be learning from you as well, because I've been told that you are coming from um, your um, your excellence in terms of your achievement in life and at the professional level as well. So it's a two-way learning process, in terms of where you think that you feel you can more add to the notion, the aspect of resilience, and then what works for you, basically what works for you, what does not work for you. And for everybody things work differently, right? So you really need to find your place, which factor you really need to give time to and work upon that, right? So basically, three things I'll be talking about is the growth mindset, emotional hygiene, and optimism. I feel myself that these are the most fundamental, important factors, which are interrelated, but they do play a significant role in one's resilience, and they do break as well if are not taken seriously and given importance. And if are given importance in your life and given a place, I would say, then of course your resilience is strengthened like anything. Just give me a second, please. All right. So let me just move to this first mindset area. Very interesting research took place 10 years ago, and I think it's more than 10 years ago, on the mindset, right? On the basic notion that why some people they become successful, even they were in the drastic phase of their life, they were in adversity, and they were in extreme difficulty, but even then they came out with lots of opportunities, and they came out strong, and the world of course was astonished as well. So the research was done in this place. So there are, basically based on the research which Dr. Carol Dweck, she is the Stanford University of Stanford professor, she coined these two words as a part of her research, and these two terminologies, growth mindset and fixed mindset, right? So this is the very first contributing factor towards resilience I want to share and make ourselves, all of us, to be aware of these notions, right? And remember that we are talking about our own mindsets, right? And then also the implications of that specific mindset towards the mindset of the colleagues and the group we work in, and even at our home, right? So literally it will be an excellent way to challenge ourselves to explore more, and of course the basic objective is to refine our mindset, right? So let's do one activity. If we have poll ready, Harun, or else I can go through the slides. So I
Yes,
want
Almas.
to do, yeah,
All is ready. You want me to
all
launch
right.
it?
Yeah, let me just give a quick instruction about this activity for all the attendees. The activity is that I will be sharing with you the 5 statements. उस 5 स्टेटमेंट के ऊपर आपने बारी बारी अग्री करना है, whether you agree, strongly agree, you disagree, or you strongly disagree. So there is no right and wrong answer. What you feel, just vote for that specific statement poll. So we can start that.
Almas, we're giving 30 seconds or 1 minute for each poll question.
I think lesser than 30. What I've seen, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, even more than that.
Chale,
So let's, yeah,
in order to get maximum participation, let's give them 30 seconds each. So the
all
first poll
right.
question appears on the screens now.
Yeah. You don't need to think too much about it, because it's your actual self at the moment, what you feel.
Gee, 67% have voted. Shall I stop?
Yes,
69. Okay. Almas, I'm sharing the results on the screen for this question.
sure.
Okay, you will be able to see the results in the Almas. You will be able to see the results in the GoToWebinar
Yeah,
menu also.
yes, and everybody else can see the results as well, right?
Yes, they can see them on the screens.
All right. So on the first question, I prefer to look smart in every aspect and never fail. Right? A statement was like this. If I just can see that, I prefer to look smart in every situation, and prove myself over and over again. Never fail. Right? So 16% strongly agree, 50% agree, 32% disagree, and 3% strongly disagree. So it's a very interesting result across the agreement towards the disagreement. It's very interesting. So you can see that not all of us are thinking in the same way, and it's very interesting. So let's explore more. We can go for the second poll.
Second poll question is on the screen.
Yeah, thank you very much. High performance
3 seconds for
reflects
voting.
natural talent. All right, 70%
Yes,
voted.
30% voted. Yeah, 70% voted. 30
Yeah,
seconds ago.
so we can share the result quickly. So 80% strongly agree, 26% agree, and then the remaining 47 and 8% disagrees, right? So majority people are disagreeing with that. Okay. All right, so the
Third
third
poll is
poll,
up on the
yeah. All right, so
we have the results on the screen now.
yes. So 55%, 55 plus 38% agree, strongly agree, percent disagree, or there's nobody strongly disagrees with that. All right, we can open the next poll. Of course, intelligence is largely genetic, जिसको हम उर्दू में कहते हैं मौरूसी है। अगर हमारे अक्सर ये कहा जाता है कि वो इंटेलिजेंट थे तो उनकी entire family, you can say they are brilliant, they are genius. So either one has it, the intelligence, or they don't have it. All right. Percent strongly agree, 23% agree, 40 disagree, and 29. So majority disagree. So fifth statement. Yeah. So if you can kindly vote on this last statement. Yeah, so we
Yes,
have
fifth and last poll result.
yeah, thank you very much, Harun. So the result of this last poll is 56% strongly agree, 39% agree, and the remaining voters, which is 6%, disagree, right? So majority agrees. Right, thank you very much. So So what's the overall idea behind this activity, the 5 statements? Let me just share, just to be mindful that obviously these are just the 5 statements, right? On the basis of these 5 statements, we are not saying that we can associate any specific type of mindset with us, right? Because our lives have different aspects, isn't it, right? So these 5 statements reflect a few areas of your life, the way we feel about any particular statement. So this is not overarching aspect, right? But the point is just to understand how some people associate the meaning of these statements different than others, right? And then we can move in the required direction, which is the um, from a specific mindset to the other mindset. Will share more. So as far as what the scientists look at, they look at the tendency, the cues, that one is inclined toward fixed mindset or the growth mindset. The first statement, those who agree with that first statement, they have, we can say that they have a tendency, they may be thinking with the fixed mindset. And those who disagree with the first statement you voted, they seem to be having a tendency of growth mindset, right? So again, second, third, fourth, and fifth, you can read for yourself. That is the cue. You see how you actually are going towards that thought. If your tendency is uh, is more toward that, as you can see that the first statement had 65 or more than 60% feel they agree with that, which was that I never fail, i I look smart in every situation. Now let's think, is that always possible? A question mark. I thought I want to leave with you, right? That is it possible that the one person can never fail? We do fail, human beings do fail. Is it the situation that every time that you can look smart? And with this notion, it's a very tricky notion that I want to look smart in the eyes of others. And if there is a problem, if I lack in something, and we do, because we can't be expert in every areas of our life, right? So there would be always the areas of improvement, right? So is it that the I want to look smart all the time, what kind of mindset it shows? And then what does it lead to your action when you tend to believe that you want to look smart? And sometime if you are not that smart, your ideas, your work, because everybody needs the boost, everybody needs to learn more, right? You don't want to be stagnant. So what happens to your emotions? So the idea is we need to look for the tendency, right? So I would just want us to move forward. Just let's understand the originator of these ideas, the originator of the mindset, what she says about it. Dr. Carol Dweck is the psychology professor, as I mentioned initially, at the Stanford University. She has written a book called Mindset, the New Psychology of Success, and I would highly recommend you to read this book, right? I know, I mean, all accountants, you read lots of financial related aspects and all that, but this is something for everybody. Even when this research was tested in NASA as well, and this research was studied at educational settings and students at professional level, even Microsoft, and at the level of NASA as well. So it literally has implications and value for every person on this earth and every role we play in our life, right? So let's talk about, she basically coined these two terminologies, growth mindset and fixed mindset, right? Now what she means by those words is the growth mindset is someone with a belief that abilities, talents, and intelligence can be developed. It's not fixed, right? And fixed mindset, she means that a belief is a very interesting word we are using: abilities, talent, and intelligence. And I know that even in my life, I mean, I always associate the notion, the meaning with abilities, talents, and intelligence. And I used to think that when I was young, I could hear that somebody is by nature, by birth, has talent. They were born talented, right? So what does that mean to me? That if I am not talented in the eyes of others, can I not increase it? Can I not work on it, right? So it's the fundamental tussle you to think about it, and of course on your personal level as well, right? So a basic notion in self, that is it the idea of a belief that which really dictates our life, because the way we believe, the way we think, that translates into our action, into our habits, and then the area we work day and night on, every day, month, years, that becomes our abilities, talent, and the way we think, right? So the whole idea she came up with, if I give you a little background, that she was doing a research, and then she found out that some people are very much scared of the challenge. They don't want to explore that. They withdraw that. And some people really like the challenging situation, right? So she then got struck with this idea why it's like that. And of course, with the colleagues, she went on researching more on this idea, and then she came up with these terminologies, that it's actually the growth mindset, which is actually whatever you do, your focus is that you don't want to set at one goal, you want to keep on improvising, and one can do that, right? So this is the definition I wanted to share, and the understanding who has created, who is the originator for this. And lots of her talks are available on YouTube, and the book she has written, it's a marvelous piece. There are different versions has come out as well. So please do read that. It will really enhance and broaden your understanding about this topic. So it's not just a 2 hour you see greater learning I'm going to be expecting for all of us, but then at the same time, of course, you can always enhance the understanding by reading further. Any reflection so far? I just want to stop. um, um, your thoughts, reflections. After knowing the definition, would you mark the questions, or the questions you voted differently? Yeah, somebody has raised the hand. I know if Harun and Shahid, we can unmute them, or we can ask them to write.
Gee, there is one question, Almas, in the question box. If you have already seen that, it's related to the first question.
Okay, yeah.
So, so, so the question is, it was more about the intent or the effort, not the belief that I am smart. So it's a confusion. If you can
Is
please
this the question
clarify.
I'm looking at correctly?
जी बिल्कुल. Uh,
All right. Okay. All right. Yes, indeed. Obviously, that's. Gee, Shahid, you want to say something?
जी, I'm done. Over.
All right. Okay. So Nabil is asking, people with growth mindset are more resilient. Yes, this is the main area to be aware of. That with growth mindset, um, the people become more resilient, right? And because it really unlocks, it really challenges your thought, your belief system in a way which helps you to unlearn those areas which are not working well, and it helps you to be more I'm sure you also know that Michael Jordan, right? In his sports history, if you see that, Michael Jordan, which is known also the MJ, right? So even if anybody, any one of you has known his history and has read about his biography, right? So he has mentioned that 9,000 um, shots he missed, and the investors invested money into his game for him to win the game. He could not win that, right? And then he failed many times. He said himself that he failed many times. He used the word, I don't know how many times, that he failed many times, but then he was the one who came early and left early when it comes to the practice, right? So again, many legendary people who have done their work, like Muhammad Ali, the legendary boxer. If you hear his interviews, right, you will see these patterns that what were they famous for, what they were doing. Obviously, nobody knew Michael Jordan and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Muhammad Ali Jinnah as well, and Muhammad Ali, the legendary boxer, when they were very young. Did the world know them? No. You know them when they were and what they did, right? One has to really keep an eye on those, right? So this is very important. Yes. So okay, so let me just take the few areas and then perhaps the other questions will be answered as we move on to the part of the presentation I want to share. All right, Abdul Qadir mentions that I disagree a little bit that you have a right. Kadir, the poll results were based on the notion that we believe something or not, but it didn't mean we don't believe it can be changed. My thoughts. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think this is one of the expectations that today what you believe in may not be believing in future based on the circumstances you are in, right? So what are the triggers? What are those factors which really move your belief system from one place to another place? That's very important, right? um Umar Said is saying, what if someone is failing in both fixed and mind growth mindset? All right. So this is the interesting one because none of the people, what I have learned in the research, that they are not on the extreme 100% sides of both things. Nobody can be 100% fixed with fixed mindset, and nobody can be with 100% growth mindset. The idea is to evaluate in what areas, in what circumstances, situations you have demonstrated the fixed mindset, and then you want to move away towards the growth mindset. And of course, in what areas you have the growth mindset you have displayed, and I'm sure you have done that, and then you can enhance that and in fact sustain the growth mindset. So two key ideas: moving from fixed mindset to the growth mindset in the areas, we'll talk about it shortly, where you really want to move, to improve, to achieve excellence, to achieve what you want to achieve in terms of your goals for professional personal life, right? And for if you identify that in some aspects of your life you have growth mindset, then the idea is, the objective is to sustain it, isn't it? So this is helpful. Shahid, somebody's saying no voice. I hope you can hear me.
G Almas, loud and clear. Actually, it was a lag earlier, but now it is smooth. So I think
All
हम
right.
बाकी participants से भी quickly पूछ लेते हैं. Guys, if you could kindly comment in the chat box, questions वाले box में लिख दीजिए. If you can hear Almas properly audible. Yes, it is clear now. So Almas
All right.
probably
Good.
वो किसी एक friend का होगा और वो reconnect कर लेंगे.
Okay. All right. Okay, that's fine. So I think I just want to read one aspect Tahmina mentioned. I agree with your input. It's necessary to have growth mindset in order to develop resilience. So thank you very much for this. Okay, so I just want us to move on, and then we'll share the question. I'll come back to the question later on, if that is okay. Um, all right. So I was talking about just few minutes before that the 5 statements earlier I shared. Those are few aspects, very few aspects of your life, right? Those are not the deciding your mindset, right? But that's just the flavor I wanted to start with, the experience, right? So I have mentioned the 5 areas where I feel that you can start looking and evaluating your mindset. So the areas in the middle is skills, challenges, efforts, feedback, and setback. These are the 5 important areas I have picked where you I would suggest that we need to evaluate the mindset. And then of course, as a result, when you are aware that your specific mindset is if fixed, then obviously you will make an endeavor, actively and intentionally make an effort to move towards the growth mindset, right? Which is that knowing and working towards the solutions, even looking for the solutions actively, is also called a growth mindset, right? So for example, in terms of these skills, if any new skill you are required to learn, whether demanded by your boss, your professional life, or the time pushes you to learn, right? So what immediate comes to your mind? If you are someone who thinks that it's the new skill, and I I would be scared, and I'm not that intelligent like others. I don't have innate capabilities to learn and all that, right? You may be thinking of some examples of your colleagues in your life, professionally or in your family, wherever it's suitable, right? So what do you think? So if you are someone who think that I can always learn, I will improve, it looks difficult at the moment. For example, the digital transformation before COVID and in COVID has literally changed upside down for good, and of course, for some it has been as stress, and because lots of changes were required, right? So as a result of any change your life and you are facing with, if you are required to learn the new skills for which you don't know anything at all, you are starting from a zero base, right? So what immediate thoughts come to your mind most of the time, right? If you're someone who think that no, you can always improve, you don't know very much now as of today, but I can learn. You don't know about Python, you don't know about data analytics, but I can learn. I will have to give my time the necessary training. I need to invest my time. I need to invest my right hours, and I should be able to implement what I learn in future. Then I would be firming up this skill. So this is how the whole idea is about. I also want to talk about the challenges, right? As Carol Dweck says, that in challenges, when you are in, and we all have been in the challenges one or the other way, right? None of us can say that we were not engulfed in the challenges, isn't it? Small on daily basis or the larger challenges we faced in our lives, professionally or personally, we all were engulfed in those challenges, isn't it, right? So are you someone who want to avoid those challenges if you have a way, right? If you had a way, I would say, right? And are you someone who think that the moment you are in the challenging situation, you feel that some lack of skills would be revealed in the eyes of other? The first statement we were talking about, that I want to look smart. So any new challenge may not help us to look smart, because the new challenge would be on new dynamics, which require us to learn more in order to handle that situation. So if we know what has worked in the past, that really gives us the comfort. That really helps us to be confident, right? But what if the situation is totally changed, right? So will the past experiences or the skill set really um, are enough sufficient for the new times, the new situations we are in? And you want to address that. So if you are someone who thinks that yes, this is the new challenge, this is the draconian one, but this is something I can embrace. It gives me an opportunity to grow, and I don't know what I can be, but it will it is giving me uncomfortable feelings because I don't know. I may be sounded not expert and all that, but then I will learn, and it will give me more different opportunities. And you don't know that one day what you'll become about this. So more persistent. So what Carol Dweck is saying, that what you keep on thinking about these skills, whether it's new or refining the learned one, or the challenges, the existing one, or the future one, right? So she says that all different problems or the challenges in life, those are inevitable. Those are not going to stop. They will come in different shapes, different forms. Thus requires different tactics, different strategies, and thus resilience, right? So again, understanding how you operate and what is your tendency, where you feel, if in the form of effort, if we may discuss here that some, if this thing comes to your mind that effort is not necessary, I mean, why should I do it, because I'm already good enough, right? So try to understand what she's saying, that although you are good enough, we are not saying the fixed mindset people are not good enough, right? What she's saying, that if you feel that you are good enough, maybe you are thinking towards that the stagnation, that you are stagnant, and you feel that in the current scenario what I've learned is sufficient enough, that makes me good enough, and then I don't need to change, which is understandable. But I think the idea is that you make it essential part of your life, so that it brings you the path of excellence, right? So that's, and I think if you have heard about Simon Sinek, which says that infinite game scenario, not the finite game. So those also resonate to this. And feedback is something we all do receive feedback in our life. At office, at home, we do give our feedback, and we do receive a feedback, especially the negative feedback. When we receive, what comes to your mind when your boss gives you a feedback which is a negative one, which is to improve the area, right, where you are lacking? What comes to your mind? Are you something who get defensive as soon as you get the feedback? You take it personally? Perhaps that needs to really focus on. Or are you someone who feels that if the feedback is of course constructively given, is it, this is useful, and I can learn something from it, and then it helps me to improve? So what comes to your mind, right? So I think the feedback is a very strong area where I feel, and of course the skill and all that. I will be discussing that more in our further part of the session, which will help you more. So this is these are the areas, as I said, five important areas, not the limited ones, where it invites you to evaluate your mindset, right? And then the idea is, the goal is, once you identify that if in some of these, if any one of these five areas you have a tendency to operate with a fixed mindset, then the goal has to be to move towards the growth mindset with awareness, with intentional understanding. All right, so I just want to move on with the another factor, emotional hygiene. But is there any a reflection anybody wants to share, or question? So is it sinking well? Tamina is sharing, sometimes you need to learn strategies to stop people from giving unsolicited suggestions and feedback. Isn't it, Tamina? That's a wonderful observation. And this is also suggested by Adam Grant, who is the organizational psychologist. And I would recommend you all to read his book, which is Think Ahead, by Adam Grant, who has written a book on originals. And I mean, he is very famous. He has podcasts and all that. So please do go and get the maximum benefit of it. So yes, indeed, I think in different scenario where you are not required to give feedback, but then you really make sure that you also understand the value of the feedback, whether you are giving or receiving, and then how you do that, and then you, in order to be able to understand, not to take the unsolicited suggestions or feedback, you really of course need to know that what works for you. So I think that's why in today's session I mentioned the individual related factors we are sharing and learning about, which is the self-awareness and self-regulation and optimism level, right? So if you know yourself well about the whether in the form of mindset and about the other areas I'll be discussing onwards, of course this really helps you to understand well that how you want to operate, how you want others to operate with you, and how you will treat others, because resilience also helps you play well in the relationship, isn't it? Nabil is saying negative feedback give you a spark to do impossible. Nabil, this is a very excellent, wonderful thought. And also, when I was going through my all research and reading, which I have been doing for many years now, so we know that the negative feedback against the positive feedback retains in your mind. This has been proven by scientists as well. So any good news you listen, or good feedback, you become happy. But when you receive the negative feedback, it retains longer than the positive feedback's retention, right? But at the same time, the negative feedback also, if you are given the feedback clearly and constructively, of course that's a separate training. There's full fledged trainings out there, because people are not doing it correctly. That's why there are lots of training available. And we also know from our lives, whether you are giving feedback, whether you are at giving feedback, and or whether you are at the end of receiving feedback, right? The catch is how you receive it or how you give it, so that it helps you open the unknown frontiers, areas of opportunity to grow further, and that really becomes amazing. So thank you very much for your all contributions so far. I'm mindful of the time. It's 4:05 at the moment. So here is the first factor we have completed our discussion around the mindset. And the key is that you make yourselves, we, as I do myself, aware. I ask my son, who is 15 years old, I ask my husband, and I actively look for the feedback. I have started doing that. That how do I respond? And even when you are expressing your challenges, if anybody asks you any question, and even they ask you to share your challenges, as I said that we all do have challenges in our life. So even the psychologists say that the way you express those challenges, the way you describe the words, by using words in describing your challenges, that reflects the mindset as well. It's so much ingrained, it's so much delicatedly ingrained in the way we think, and it really dictates our actions and decisions in a subtle way. It's not easy to identify. Once it becomes easier for you to understand, but the difficult part is that you remain in the comfort zone, because then our immediate notions, belief system is challenged. Because when your belief system is challenged, definitely we feel that we are threatened, isn't it? Because immediately the emotion, the thought comes in that you are not sufficient. I think that I have always been good and sufficient, but now I know more. Somebody has said something, and my belief system is jerked. So definitely that's the journey. But the excellent part is that you explore your identity, you explore what you value more, and of course grow in the right direction you want, where you want to get the result. So if you can just give me 2 seconds, please. All right. So the second important factor contributing to resilience is the emotional hygiene. I if if not, that's not the issue. But emotional hygiene, hygiene is related to the cleanliness part. But adding the word hygiene with the emotion is made me very much um, interested in this idea to explore more, and I include that in my trainings to youth as well. And this is very much significant, that what is why this is so important. We'll also know shortly what is meant by emotional hygiene, and why it is so important. And when we establish that why it is so important, then how we need to really manage it, giving time it deserves, right? So let's understand what is emotional hygiene. So in the words of Guy Winch, who is again the organizational psychologist, he's also a therapist as well. So according to him, emotional hygiene is to be mindful of our psychological health, right, and adopting brief daily habits to monitor and address psychological wounds, right? And those wounds could be anything. It could be failure, it could be rejection, right? And these failures or these wounds, when we sustain them, right? So if you see that what we are talking about, the background is that when you are injured, when you have a physical injury, you go to the doctor, isn't it? You make an effort to treat that wound, to treat that injury, isn't it? Everyone is aware of it. The other example is that when you about the hygiene, you brush your teeth. Why you brush your teeth? Nobody needs to know that, because you have been doing it from your childhood, because you know the sheer advantage, the benefit, the significance of brushing teeth or treating that in a physical injury. Because if you don't treat that physical injury, if you don't brush your teeth daily, what will happen? You know that, right? It will be disaster. Your teeth health will not be retained. You will not be able to enjoy the food. And then if you don't treat the physical injury, it will turn into a disaster, more it will take a more bad shape, right? Nobody wants to do that. And why you do that? Because you know the importance of that. But what about the emotional hygiene? So I invite all of us to think, what is emotional hygiene, why it is so important. Because lots of thoughts, millions billions of thoughts go through daily, on daily basis in our mind, and lots of emotions we generate, right? And then what we do with that, are we aware of those emotions, the good part, the negative ones, or the positive ones? If we are aware of that, do we do actively something like brushing our teeth to take care of the dental hygiene? Like do we do something? If you get a physical injury, you have the medicine at home, or you go to the doctor, you go to the expert. For the emotional thing, what you do, right? So this is very important, right? This is very important. As I said, as we are going through emotional resilience training, so it's the learning where you really I want all of us to keep a track of our emotional hygiene, of our emotions, what emotions we are having physically, mentally, what we are talking to ourselves. It's a wonderful word we say, talk, self talk, right? And how we are talking to ourselves. I want to share the strategy with you, because this overall idea, talking to ourselves, sometimes I do get funny comments that if someone, if is certified retarded person mentally, we are not talking about that. We are talking about what goes on in your mind. Do you intentionally monitor the quality of your thoughts, the quality of your emotions, in a matter of, as a result of self talk? Everybody talks to themselves, right? It's not associated with the mat people who are certified mat people by the physician, right? Uh, we don't want to think about that, but what goes on on everyday basis into your mind? Do you sit down and scan through your thoughts and emotions, what is going on, right? What is the quality of those thoughts, emotions going on in a certain situation? Okay, I think this is the important thing I want us to be aware of. And are you taking active time to listen to the thoughts, the quality? Is it too much negative talk, self talk happening? Is it positive talk? Okay, this is fine. Continue it, right? Is it too much negative self talk happening, right? Too much harsh talk? Anything happens in your life and then you blame yourself, any event, any failure, any rejection, goal wasn't achieved, target wasn't achieved. So is it, what talks come to your mind? How do you treat yourself? You become so much harsh to yourself. Do I say to myself that I'm so much stupid, I even couldn't do it? Or I say that, okay, this has happened, or I just need to see why it has happened and why it can be improved. So what is the tendency again? So I'll share the thinking traps with you shortly. The idea is that you need to actively take out time to listen to the hygiene of your emotional state, the thoughts, the self talk you are talking, right? What is the quality? Is it too much negative, right? And what are the senses you generate? Your heartbeat increases in a situation of a negative event, right? You sweat a lot, your heartbeat increases a lot, you have headaches. What happens? What is the physical senses you are observing during a negative self talk, right? If it's not, we don't reach that, it's not negative, it's fine, right? But then once you actively listen to the quality of your thoughts and noticing your bodily sensation and emotion it is generating, and once you find that it's negative, it's repeatedly negative, a cassette is running on and on and on for many days, for months and years, indeed, for any aspect, right? Somebody has said something to you, and that this sticks to your mind, and then that creates negative emotions, right? The aggression, the aggressiveness, perhaps the hopelessness, the demotivation, any emotion for a matter of fact, right? So if you identify those are the negative trajectory of emotions you are creating, and we all know that it's not good for the physical and emotional state, right? So then you need to challenge that self talk. The negative quality of that self talk needs to be challenged, and then you need, after you challenge that, you need to change that self talk, right? So um, what I want to share here, that just to make your awareness further increased, that in terms of the negative self-talk, there are four typical thinking traps. These are not just the four ones, but I think I find these super good ones. There are many as well, but these unhelpful thoughts are four thinking traps, is something that we need to be aware of. And when you are aware of the origination, the source of these thinking traps, then of course you come up with the ways, the ideas to look into it, isn't it? When you understand the problem, half the battle is won. It is also said that. So there are four areas: mind reading, me, them, and catastrophizing. Okay, so let's understand quickly. I would like to share that with you. First thinking trap is mind reading. Now, with mind reading is jumping to the conclusions more often about what others are thinking about you without any evidence. We keep on thinking what others are thinking, as if we live in their mind. We are trying to read their minds, what they are thinking, and that becomes unnecessarily. So if you have tendency, please notice, if you have tendency, if you are someone who thinks, who think and feel that you can read others mind, and that really clouds the judgment and all that, instead of going ahead and discussing and communicating clearly, right? So some examples I've shared, that my boss did not stop to say hello, and this is the situation I see, and then immediately the thought is that in my mind I feel she must not like me very much, my boss must not like me very much. Other example is my colleague did not pick my call, right? You are calling your colleague, your colleague did not pick a call, so immediately you think that your colleague does not want to help, does not want to share information, and maybe that's why she is ignoring it. So you are trying to read in between the line. You don't have any evidence, right? Obviously you have not been able to figure it out. You may later on, but we are talking about when in situations you have a tendency to think about the mind reading habits, right? And then especially in the office you do lots of meeting. After walking out of a meeting, we predict that the meeting attendees hated our meeting. You are reading a mind, and then not only reading mind, but then we become the fortune telling that the thought like this, that there is no way they are going to accept our proposal. So the idea is that, I mean, we cannot read others mind, isn't it? But we have this thinking trap. That's why the word is thinking trap. The really unfull thought, these are not helping, these are coming on our ways, right? So what emotions it generate? I have written some emotions. Do you feel is this related to someone? Do you feel that it does happen with you? Emotions like it increases anxiety because you are reading that mind, you are assuming um, um, unnecessary thoughts that drains your energy, that creates doubt about the help of that colleague we talk about, hopelessness. All right, so no then let's move on to the um, second point, the second thinking trap, me. All right, so after mind reading first trap, the second trap is that me, that whatever happens, I am the sole responsible for all negative events, failures and disaster in my life, right? Some examples are my friend gets angry, and you immediately then start having this thought that nobody likes me, I'm not lovable, I'm selfish and all that. What does it now? I want you to notice what it does. I mean, when you have these me, if you are in this me thinking trap, you hold yourself responsible for I'm not saying that where you are you're responsible for the outcome. Of course it's also a skill to take the responsibility, but if you have this tendency that for anything happen negatively in your life, you hold yourself responsible, that you are the sole responsible for yourself. So what emotions, what negative emotions it generates, I want you to notice that, right? What it does, a thinking trap we have been in for many years or many months or on everyday basis. It generates the negative feeling like this. In this we feel self pity, we feel guilt, anxiety. Again, you feel self doubt, low self esteem. What it does, it does not help you move on. That's why we are saying these are unhelpful thoughts, right? And it does not let you move on to either accept the feedback we talked about, the skill set we talked about, to refine or learning new one, right? Another example is failing to achieve targets. And we do at time fall short of meeting targets, isn't it, right? But what happens? Are you someone who says that I'm a stupid one, I'm not intelligent like others, my boss will be mad, and he will think that I'm good for nothing? Are you someone who says that? Is the thinking trap them, right? In earlier, everything is on myself, right? I'm the sole responsible for any negative event. Here in thinking, in them thinking trap, the tendency to blame external factors for bad incidents, event and failure. The traffic is to be blamed at, the politics has to be blamed at, the external environment, the weather has to be blamed, and other things, right? So it's a fundamental, it's a good example I have mentioned here. For example, if a person gets hold of his medical result and that indicates some heart related issues, And if the person is thinking and has been thinking that the heart issues runs in my family, there was issue with my dad, it was the issue with his dad, and now me, it's all because it's in my family. All right, so what we are trying to say here, right? So this type of thought is doing what? Can anybody tell me what it does? What it does when you blame everything else, external factor, and you do not include yourself, what it does? Self-equitable creates a victim mentality. Yeah, victim mentality for the first, for the earlier one, me responsible, lack in self accountability. Yes, definitely, it stops you from making progress, definitely, because you are not taking the responsibility of the areas where you have a control, where you can do certainly about it, right? So I think this is the excellent point, and please do notice the emotions it triggers if you have this thought all the time or most of the time. That's why I use the word tendency, that what it does, it makes you angry, it makes you aggressive, frustrated, and lacking of self responsibility. If you do it more and more, it really tarnishes the health quality, it really tarnishes your mental state, and then you cannot move forward. Okay, so now this is the most dangerous one, right? Catastrophizing thinking trap. In this thinking trap, a person imagine that the only worst case scenario, no matter how unlikely it's going to happen in reality, right? So, for example, I get poor evaluation at work or at project, and then the series of thoughts, the thoughts of cloud running in my head day and night and every day, that my boss hates me for sure, I won't get the promotion in future because he thinks I'm not capable, and then I'll be fired, which will ruin my career. Or you can take any situation. Okay, for example, my boss is calling me for an urgent, immediate meeting, and then you are there thinking that it must be a wrong thing. I must have done something wrong, and he is going to now badly. You see, he'll be cross with me, and then what will happen? And then actually what is happening in this catastrophizing thinking trap, that you actually create the negative thoughts loop in your head, right? And then becomes tunneling, right? It becomes tunneled, it restricted. You cannot think of think rationally, isn't it? Because you are not thinking rationally, um, and therefore your focus is very tunneled, limited, and really drains your energy. So, and this is the most dangerous one, and I get fall into this thinking trap, you can say that. And I do myself indeed, so it happens. So I think it's the important one. And you may notice that it may be in some situation you feel me, them, mind reading, and catastrophizing, but see the tendency, what you fall into which category. So can I just quickly ask people, attendees, to um, think you are a situation, you get a negative feedback on a project at work. Think of any project, right? In the past, you may have that, or a meeting. If you don't think of any project, any meeting, any project where you got negative feedback. So I want you to think, in overall activity time is 3 to 5 minutes. I have written 3 minutes. If we can do that, that's wonderful. Can you think of the four thinking traps, and see what each thinking trap generates thoughts? Okay, and um, what in terms of the emotions it generate? Is that okay? Can we do that in thinking of somebody can do it fastly, whatever your style is? All right. So, okay, so if you don't want to think of each thinking trap, if you get negative feedback, what is the possibility and what specific thinking trap you feel you can fall into? Are you someone who do lots of mind reading? Are you someone who hold yourself responsible for most of the areas where things have not gone well, or you hold others, external factors responsible, or are you someone um, like me who used to catastrophize a lot? All right. So thank you very much. Sanan is saying I'm the one who does a lot of mind read. So what happens, Sanan, when you can you relate it? When you do the mind reading, it comes out correctly what you were thinking, or what happens? Mohammed Shehzad Sultan says catastrophizing boss will link it to my future. Okay. Muhammad Ali, normally in our society, we are oriented towards them thinking trap. Okay, this is the excellent point, and I think those of you who are parents, it goes beyond saying that it's very important to nurture this habit in our children as well, because they observe us, and at the same time, of course, their learnings need to be nurtured as well. Even with the mindset, the way you praise your children, that you are naturally brilliant, you have a gift by nature and all that. So please make sure you need to be considerate of that, because then they think that I am always going to be remarkably talented in all spheres of my life, in my adulthood as well. And life throws many challenges. Not give you the alarms, they don't tell you in advance. So therefore this is very important guidance from us as parents to our children. All right, when you are asked to train your successors and you think that you are going to be replaced, wow, Tohid, excellent point, right? So sense of insecurity, and obviously part of the catastrophizing, mind reading as well. All right. And I think mind reading trap would be the boss hates me, and that they never that's why negative feedback was given. Yeah, Ahmad, this is the excellent point. In my training of how to give the helpful feedback, it was also mentioned that because when the bosses give the negative feedback, the required one, right, the necessary one, if they give the negative feedback, the immediate thought of the employee is that they don't like me, that's why they give me the negative feedback. And that's why it is said that negative feedback giving is an art that needs to be learned, right? Because when you give the negative feedback, for sure, then employees tend to associate the negative feedback of their performance with the feeling of their line manager bosses. This is very interesting, and the research has said that as well. So thank you very much for your contributions. And now optimism. I think this is the last bit I want to share with you. And in this optimism, you certainly have heard this word many times again in your life, isn't it? What is optimism? Um, and generally, it is said that optimism is believing that the future holds good for you. It may be not in the second day or a month, but then on daily basis. Remember, the word optimism is not just thinking just the positive way, but making a part of your life in a way that you feel optimistic, that you are doing something, as a result of that things will turn out good, right? So this is basically the 6 areas I want to share with you, which is a kind of antidote towards handling the negative thought process, the thinking traps we discussed. So this is the antidote for this. This is not the only one, but this is the powerful one, right? This is I have felt myself. So I think that there are different ways one can be optimistic. Of course, you have your own ways. Can I ask attendees, please, members, to share how you make yourself optimistic in your life? Any example anyone can share? And then I will move on, discuss the slides. Anybody would like to share how do you keep yourself optimistic? All right, read the hadith and about Umeed and Guman. Okay. Umeed and Guman means hope and expectation, if I am trusting the word correctly, by focusing on the positives, by reading success stories. Yeah, thank you very much. Adil, Nabil, Umar, thank you. Alina is sharing focus on solution rather than just talking about the problem again and again. Yeah. So thank you, Alina. Again, हमने तो thinking traps की बात की है कि when you remain thinking on one aspect of that negative situation, or indeed of that negative situation, your the brain wires that information, the brain retains that information. It's something like this: the more amount you deposit in the bank, you keep on depositing the amount in the bank, the deposit gets bigger, and then the more you take out the amount from your bank, it gets depleted, isn't it? So the thoughts also work in the same way. Our brains are muscles, right? Let me tell you that, I mean, in 20th century, the scientists always felt that the adults cannot learn new skills. Whatever learning they can learn, they could have learned, that has already taken place in their teenagers and all that. But then in the 20th century, later part of the 20th century, it was established with the proven results that the brain is like a malleable muscle where it can stretch, and hippocampus is called to be an area of the brain which is responsible for memory, training, and learning. The more you learn the new language, the more you learn the new areas, the new skill set, right? In a given situation, the brain becomes habitual of thinking in those areas. So yes, so again, you can see how the knowledge has evolved, and therefore once was used to be thought that this was not possible, it's no more the case, right? So yes. All right. So thank you very much. I could see that somebody has said that going back to basic learning as a Muslim every time. Thank you, Junaid. And then Tamina said we need to eliminate the harmful values and replace with more sustainable values. Thank you, Tamina. And what a wonderful time in the pandemic we are in. That really has shaken our fundamental areas. You may like to speak to shake and then replace with the valuable ones, the helpful ones. Refer back to positive quotes again and again. Junaid, thank you. Yes, for the motivation, for the optimism. This is good. The 6 areas I would like to notice, I would like all of us to notice, is that obviously it's not just the word optimism and anticipating future with the positive outcome, not without doing intended required efforts. Of course, it doesn't work in that way. With the required effort and a purposeful action that needs to be taken. So for example, the one thing is that notice the positive. You are in a tough situation, you just need to need to have a positive areas to notice in your life, right? I can tell you, because when I was grappling through a very turbulent time, when my mother was not well, she passed away from this world. But then it was a terrible time, a turbulent emotional time for me and for my family. But then it was very hard to see what was positive. Yes, there was an area we could see that the Allah has made us enabled to bear the expenditures of the treatment, and then in a good place and all that. But that was still a very draconian side. But then it was very difficult when you get hold of such situation, what you think, what you can notice the other positive, if not in that given situation you are in, where you feel that nothing is seemingly to be working, then what other aspects of life you have been blessed with, where you can always find the positive. So it is also strongly suggested that you need to start thinking by noticing the positive aspects of your life, and you can do it from today itself, any part of the day, but do it today it yourself. Even today, if you are not in a tragic, in a disastrous challenging moment of the time, but doing every day, noticing the positive of your life really wires your brain to think in that way. And as I said that then you can retrieve those thoughts, moments, good moments, blessings in your life, that becomes really helpful. um Again, the second part is seeing the opportunity. Of course, in a typical situation, a negative situation, when we said that we are in the thinking traps, our focus becomes tunneled. We cannot think from multiple angles, from multiple perspectives. So it is also suggested to see what opportunities for you today, which you are unable to see, because sometimes we are so much overwhelmed with our emotions, that we can't focus. So it is also heavily suggested to see the opportunity what could be there, looking actively looking for those opportunities. And I think this is my one of the very powerful favorite areas: control and accept. I'm sure you will agree with me. I can say it with my conviction that obviously not every area in your life you can control, and you cannot, some areas you cannot, right? So as Stephen Covey says, the area of circle of concern and circle of influence, where you can literally influence and where you can control, right? So if I can relate the previous thinking traps here, you can control your thoughts. It will be difficult if you have been if you have been thinking on a specific pattern for many years, many months. But then of course one has to begin somewhere, right? The new habits are formed with difficulty, but they are not impossible to form, to be formed with difficulty. So areas of control, which problem in that given negative situation you can control, and then accept it, right? When you acknowledge, then you can accept. In my case, it was very difficult for us, but we got hold of the information. We were accepting it. It was very painful. I mean, the reason I'm giving you this example, because this may come across sometimes that these concepts may operate in the air. These don't have values. But obviously, we as human being, in maybe in our personal lives, or also in the office, we become victim of our own thinking belief system. So I want to draw your attention towards what is that you can control in your given resources, and then accept it, acknowledge it. Because if you don't accept it, it becomes painful. It does not let you move on. Focus on solution. Again, can you see the link of all these trajectory? Because when you when you push yourself to see the opportunity, when you push yourself to notice the positive, when you push yourself to accept what you can't do anything about and focus on what you can do, then obviously you as one of the candidates said, that you think of more and more solution. So focusing on solution and reaching out, I would relate. If you are unable to look for a think of a solution, then reach out is the option. Because sometimes, I mean, I have this observation in our society as well, I may be wrong, but I mean, in my life as well, people feel that if you reach out for the help, you are deficient. So that negative thinking holds you back. The same goes for your all skill set and everything. So when you are giving time intentionally to focus on this solution on that given moment or given turbulent time, then of course you that is also need to be understood, that you don't know anything or everything of everything, right? So need the help from the experts, from the family resource, the help they can extend you, they can strengthen the support system, right? So this is very much linked. And I think the last but not the least, take purposeful action is important, because you notice the positivity in those situations which may not come easy, but you need to practice identifying the opportunity, and then accepting what you can control, and going full throttle with full responsibility and sheer conviction that you can change the situation where you can and with the solution, with the help of others. That gives you the action, purposeful action. Because if you don't take the action actively, then of course that remains just a knowledge and it doesn't help you. If you take the action as you do on daily basis, that becomes your habit, and it becomes a natural second nature for you to do it. um all right, so I don't know if we have the time. It's 4:44. How we are doing in terms of time, Shahid and Harun? Or I can just share these slides later on as well. um
I think we are doing final mass as far as timing that concerned. But we can do is we can take few more questions from our members, and in the end you can then send these slides over to them for their homework or post read of the session,
all right, okay.
if
So
it is
I
okay with you, Almas.
sure, absolutely. And then I'm just looking for the questions at the moment. If there is any question, or you I'm just going through the trail of the comments and trying to identify the question out of it. Um,
Yeah, we can now
okay.
formally open the floor for Q&A, Almas. So पहले तो मैं ये बता दूं, we've been getting extremely positive feedback, not only here in the chat box but also on the WhatsApp group that we have created. So the members are thoroughly enjoying your session. They've learned a lot. So guys, any quick comment, feedback, question for Almas, and now you can even use the audio question facility as well. So we can unmute you and you can ask question directly from Almas as well, or you can write down in the question tab. So over to you guys. मैं आप मैं देख रहा हूं, अगर किसी का भी शो ऑफ हैंड हो तो मैं अनम्यूट कर दूं. Otherwise, any questions for Almas? Any comment, any feedback? So Nabil is saying awesome session. Thank you, ma'am, and Team ACCA Pakistan. Junaid has also commented the same two things from Shahid Khan. I don't think I'm never wrong. Don't shy to ask to help. Okay, Junaid. It was a great session. Tahmina says, thank you, Tahmina. Okay, thank you very much. Now I got it, Junaid, the points you were referring to. Thank you very much. it was a comprehensive session. Numan Mustafa says, Almas. Uh, so, so guys, any other quick questions or comments? Because I'm sure I agree with all of you. This was such a comprehensive and a thought-provoking session. और उसमें हमारे बहुत सारे beliefs और जो हमारा बहुत सारा thought process है वो challenge होता है और it gives us opportunity to learn or see things from different perspectives. काफी सारी researches अल्मास ने share की जो कि ह्यूमन साइकोलॉजी के अराउंड थी और it helped us a lot in future to engage and interact with people who have different perspectives. So if
Yeah.
there are no
So
any further questions,
yeah,
Ji
yeah.
Almas.
I mean, I'm trying to read the comments, Shahid, and I think my internet connection, if that can go smoothly live and all that. But I would also recommend one thing. There was one movie with the name of Pursuit of Happiness, and I would highly recommend that movie to be watched because this is related to the obviously many areas, but for optimism, you can identify the behaviors of the optimist, that if we want us to be optimistic, and I'm sure we all certainly want to be optimistic, but sometimes life situations pull us down. So this movie is excellent. Pursuit of Happiness, character played by Will Smith. एंड इस पे एक किताब भी लिखी है जो एक्चुअल लाइफ जिसके ऊपर ये मूवी बनाई गई है, क्रिस गार्डनर, राइट, ही हैज रिटन अ बुक ऑन ऑन Pursuit of Happiness. But of course, Hollywood movie has also been made. It's not very new movie of Will Smith, but do, and I'm sure आप लोगों ने शायद देखी भी हो इसको. I recently got to watch that movie with my husband and my 15-year-old son, and lots of lessons to boost my optimism. Really, I found it. So I would highly recommend that.
Sure, Almas, thank you very much. Now we have couple of questions for you.
All right.
एक है from Tahmina. Tahmina is asking, please add a little about how being over optimistic can be harmful as well. So, इस पे quick comment.
Sure. Yes, definitely. I mean, I think it's just the right degree, the right amount of skill or the emotion you want to attain to make it useful for life is important, right? I think obviously the rational part of your brain, which also taunts you to be not very optimistic. I think the fundamental questions one have to ask, the ones which are being showed here on the slide as well, that what is positive in this situation you can find. If not, then what positive situations or blessings you can find other parts of your life, right? And how do I grow from this? And I think just creating a right balance in terms of what could be the worst case scenario, what worst case outcome. It's the extreme thinking, and what could be the excellent case scenario, what is the probability of that thing is happening. I think if you ask the right questions, Tehmina, and some are given on the slide as well, that really shapes your thinking to be using and being optimistic in a right balance. And of course, some situations are very daunting, those are very difficult, but then of course you reach out, as I was mentioning, because sometimes you draw the insight from your own self, the resource, but then there are people in your life whom you reach out, you ask for a support, and they help you navigate through those difficult moments. So with optimism, as I said, sometimes it is attached to this, that everything will be good and all that. As Dalai Lama said, that we are not saying that problems will not be part of your life. They will be there inevitably, in comes in different forms. It's just asking the right question and taking the support, and then putting those support into action. That really helps you, being humbly optimistic, I often call it for myself.
Gee, thank you, Almas. And one last question
Ji.
before we conclude the session, and this is
Yeah.
from Maria. But Maria से पहले मैं Alina को comment कर दूं कि she's also saying that it was an amazing and a positive session. So thank you very much, Alina. So last question from Maria is, when you are being very stressed at work sometimes, how should you manage instantly coming back to nerves? Please provide instant tips for being back to nerves and tackling the situation as well. So मैं इसमें add कर दूं Almas, it's applicable both personal as well as official या professional environment में. So any tips for?
Yeah, definitely. I can give you my example, perhaps that may be workable for you. That, for example, I was coming for this session. For you all guys, right? I was preparing for this session, so I had obviously thinking traps in my mind as well, and I was getting stressed out. Um, and because we are working from home, so I was getting stressed out, and I was thinking, what if my session is not going to be useful for the attendees? What if they are going to think it's a complete waste of time? So this is a very practical example I'm giving you about myself, right? So what I did, I then actually looked for the evidence. I stopped my thinking, and then I asked myself, Almaz, what is the evidence of that? You have delivered these sessions in the past, and those have been taken humbly and worked in people's life, and they appreciated it. So this is the evidence I retrieved before this session, literally, right? And then I had to tell myself that the evidence is not what I'm thinking. What am I thinking is not rationally. What is rational is the evidence I have had in the form of feedback of my past sessions. So perhaps you also need to think, if you are going for a meeting, right, and you are stressed that, I mean, you are going to present, and you think that it may be not, very grandeur, you may not be an excellently presenting and all that. So you literally need to think, what is the evidence? You must have presented in the past and must have appreciated for your presentation skills, right? So you need to take deep breath as well. You need to hold on for a second. Intentionally, you need to hold yourself, give your time to yourself, and then breathe. इसके लिए deliberate breathing exercise कही जाती है, where one style is that you count 5 times, right? Breathe in, and then 8 times breathe out. सही, I repeat, deliberate breathing technique सिखाई जाती हैं, which actually holds your attention back. 5 times you count when you are inhaling the breath, and count 8 when you are exhaling the breath, right? So this I also use, and it what it does, it calms down your nervous system, right? And then you can focus. मीटिंग के लिए जा रहे हैं, प्रेजेंटेशन दे रहे हैं, सेशन दे रहे हैं, राइट, डिफिकल्ट टॉक मैनेज कर रहे हैं, फीडबैक सेशन कर रहे हैं. सो इमीडिएट टिप्स ये होती हैं, डेलिबरेट ब्रीथिंग टेक्निक्स होती हैं, एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स आस्किंग योरसेल्फ ऑफ द एविडेंस, बिकॉज it's not just the outcome of the situation which makes us dreadful. It's our response or reaction. It's our thinking which makes us very much stressful. So I think all and other tips I'm sure the attendees can share. जिसका result ये होता है, you can bring back your focus and going to जिसके लिए आपको अपनी energy बचा के रखनी है, then you can focus on that. I hope that's helpful.
जी, वेरी हेल्पफुल, थैंक यू अल्मास. एंड मारिया, एट टाइम्स ऐसा भी होता है, मैं आपको अपनी पर्सनल लेमैन एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ, नॉट कमिंग फ्रॉम एक्सपर्ट लाइक अल्मास, लेकिन एट टाइम वर्क प्लेसेस के ऊपर हम बहुत सारी सिचुएशंस में रिएक्ट करते हैं. आइडियली वी शुड रिस्पॉन्ड. सो देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ रिएक्शन एंड रिस्पॉन्डिंग टू अ सिचुएशन. रिएक्शन में शायद वो बहुत इमोशनल होगा, वो बहुत ज्यादा sentimental hoga, but when you respond, which means आप उसको completely understand करें with composure and positive attitude, उसको respond करें, the outcome will be much more better, trust me, or it will give you energy, and it will add your temperament as well. So thank you very much. I think it was a lovely session. So Almas, you don't need to be stressed out in future. Trust me, we are giving you this confidence that we thoroughly enjoyed, we learned a lot, all of us. So thank you very much for taking time out, especially right on your holidays. I know, a matter of fact, that you are on leaves, although working on so many important areas. But thank you once again. Any last comment, Harun Saab, before we conclude? We still have 2 minutes. Thank you very much, Almas. Once again, thank you very much, all participants. Over to you, Harun Saab, for concluding remarks. Such a great session. Thank you. Acha, I think Harun Saab has already gone for prayer. So thank you very much, guys.
No. I'm
Acha,
right
you are
here.
there.
Right here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
So, GG sir, loud and clear. Over to you.
Sorry, I was running from far away. वो थोड़ा सा WhatsApp के ऊपर कुछ मसला चल रहा था, so I was trying to address that. If you look at the 7 Digits group, Tawheed has been taking snapshots of all these slides and posting in the WhatsApp group. So Almas, can we share this presentation with your permission with the members of this group or the participants? Are you okay with that?
Yes, I think if the recording can be used, would that replace with this expectation?
Recordings are available in any case, but probably people are interested in the slides as well. So is it okay if we share a PDF version of your slideshow?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll share that with you, and then perhaps you can then.
Excellent. And Tawheed and all others, the reason for highlighting this was that these slides are intellectual property. And the intellectual property in this case belongs to Almas, and ACCA itself respects intellectual property a lot. Taking snapshots is not appropriate. Now that we have Almas's permission, Almas will herself convert this into a PDF document and share it with Shahid, who will post it in the group. So I think that's the professional way. Do you agree, Almas?
Yes, indeed.
Great, thank you so. From the signs of it has been very engaging and interesting conversation. Thank you very much, Almas, for taking out time. And Shahid, you would have wished them Eid Mubarak already, but my chance as well. So this is going to be our last session before Eid. And on behalf of ACCA, the entire team of ACCA, which was involved in the 7 Digits program, on behalf of the members network panel and the member and the subcommittees, I wish all of you a very happy Eid. Stay safe, observe SOPs. Don't forget poor and needy people in your Eid celebrations, and enjoy yourself as well. So thank you all very much. Hopefully next session is now going to be on the next moderated session is going to be on the 18th. We have about 3 or 4 sessions left. There is a session on leadership. There is a session of the importance of networking. And there is going to be a session on Python and R, which is artificial intelligence. So we'll get into that, and one more session, which is going to be Power BI. So these very important sessions to, going to conclude this program. I hope all of you enjoyed this. I hope all of you found this useful, and I hope you'll really use these skills and the mindset that's been developed. You'll use it to your advantage. That's the most important point. Otherwise, you go to any of the best universities in the world, if you're not able to bring back the knowledge that you can convert into your strength, it all is waste. So let's not let this effort go waste. I hope all of you are going to put it to effective use. Thank you all very much, and Shahid, over to you.
Ji sir, thank you very much. So once again, Eid Mubarak to all of you. Enjoy this well-deserved break as well, with lots of prayers that this COVID will go away very soon, and inshallah, life and world will be the same or close to the same. So thank you very much, everyone, and keep we'll keep in touch with you. Please share your feedbacks as many as possible अपने WhatsApp ग्रुप्स पे भी और सोशल मीडिया पे भी. So thank you very much everyone. Eid Mubarak. Khuda Hafiz.